and welcome. We have a very, very special episode today. We're going to be looking at the whole summer and what evolutionary astrology has perspective on in regards to that. We're actually going with the theme of harnessing galactic consciousness, really being able to align with the cosmos in terms of healing and empowerment, collective transformation. And who better to have here for all of that as evolutionary astrologer Gwenyth Luptak of Soulsong Astrology. Thank you, Gwen. It's so excited for you to be here and give us insight into all that we have looked forward to this summer.
My pleasure to be here, Jennifer. I'm really looking forward to it as well. We have a very supportive summer for the evolutionary process, which I'm happy to be talking about in some depth, I think, today. It will bring lasting changes. It's the core thing about it is about healing, releasing of old energies, and then which allows space for the new upgrades that are come in. It will be about finding your deep personal truths, and with that, building a more authentic alignment. So that's
Awesome.
that's how I see it.
Can you share a little bit, Gwenyth, about how evolutionary astrology might be different from other types of astrology? Like, what do you kind of look at when you're checking out what's coming up for us?
Okay. Well, for us, well, it's evolutionary astrology is always based in your soul's intention, and it has themes that run through lifetimes. And so in this case, since we're looking and mundane astrology, we're looking at what's happening this summer. The themes that align with Pluto, and some of Pluto's supporters, which I will talk about in a minute, are really the vehicles that are there and available for facilitating the process of evolution, which is based on ever refining our consciousness, so we become more and more conscious and aware. And we do that by dealing with our shadow material and understanding, but first and foremost in evolutionary astrology, understanding what the soul's intention is in this lifetime, how it fits in a chart, and then what steps are appropriate to move forward with. So that's it.
I love it. It sounds like such a vital way to integrate a higher consciousness model of living. And of course, soul alignment is what this is all about on this channel. So excited for this. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's do that. For the summer, there's two long-term configurations that are defining that I'll talk about. The first one, it's already started in June and will continue through till the end of August. And this is a closed configuration, meaning all the planets work together. And it's based in the transpersonal planets, which is Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, as well as the black moon, Lilith. So, and this all comes together in something that's called a kite. And it will be sort of harnessing energies, making things available for us. So the black moon, Lilith, is a transformer goddess. She's a relentless truth seeker. She denies successful outcomes if there's any false or inauthentic or misguided actions in the astrology. If she's part of the astrological makeup, then those things, anything false or inauthentic, is going to have a sort of a collapsing element eventually to it. Does that make sense? Is there anything about that it's not a scary thing?
Are you saying that anything that's hidden might be revealed, or that there's like the social collapse that people are talking about collectively? Like, how does that fit into that?
Anything that's definitely be revealed. Else, I think you summed that up quite quickly. Yeah. She works with denial, and she's very discerning. So she's looking for a kind of perfection. And now, so she's currently in the sign of Libra. And Libra is all about relationships, balance and harmony, justice and fair play. So since she's in that sign, and she will be in that sign until next year sometime, and she will bring up insecurities or imbalances in these areas, and it's through till March 2025 that she's actually in the sign of Libra. So balance and harmony, justice, fair play, and relationships are all areas that Libra describes. Now, Lilith is in an opposing aspect in this configuration with the planet Neptune. Now, this opposition is the backbone and driving force of this configuration, and this combination will expose any lack of clarity, unrealistic thinking, avoidance tendencies, because Neptune is negative. Neptune energy those are some of the characteristics of the negative Neptune. But you must tap into this configuration. The goal is really about aligning to your true intentions. And the other part of it is Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And those are the transpersonal planets, the very distant planets. And they are what I call the gateway to galactic consciousness. And this is because they connect with the higher octaves and higher dimensions, which gives them a broader, deeper connection with the bigger picture. And this is for individuals, and it is also collectively. So it's a subtle energy. It's in the background. It sets a tone, and it provides guidance. That's the nature of what this configuration is doing.
I really love that we're talking about individual and collective, because I'm starting to hear from what you're saying, how much things can affect us and what we can reflect on in ourselves individually, and also see that reflected in the outer, like what's happening in society and around the world, So like setting intentions around what we know as what's been hidden in us or what we've been avoiding, and being able to look at that, reflect on that, and also seeing what's been hidden from, like national leaders and so on, and being able to reveal what's happening. And then the topics seem really relevant to what's actually going on externally as well. And then I also,
Go ahead.
What were you going to say?
You go ahead, Jennifer. I slipped my mind where I was going to go with that. So.
Oh, okay. So what I'm noticing too, like even in my work, is that there's a real collective movement, like people joining more communities, or even communities joining other communities, to really create like this broader sense of community where we can actually start cultivating my dream vision, the bigger picture of co-creating global harmony. Where it's not so much about our individual missions anymore. It's more about our collective consciousness, collective transformation, and our collective mission, how we can really come together and reckon with the forces that are fighting that, actually. So this is really interesting to hear, like how as above, so below, right?
Absolutely. So the point is to build more refinement of your being, to have a greater perspective and more objectivity. So that's kind of still where we're going with, or what is available. I need to underline that these are very subtle configuration, the distant planets and Black Moon Lilith. It's something that you have to tap into but it's available, and it's available by ways, for example, through sudden insights and intuitions, through psychic or mystical experiences, and through synchronicities. And these things are all, that's methods for Uranus is very much about sudden insights and intuitions. Neptune is very much psychic and mystical kind of energies. And of course, synchronicities are the universe really just giving you exactly messages, shall we say, that are potentially in line with these vibrations. But you do have to tap into it, and you do, trust it. I'd like to specifically talk about the one arm, the Uranus trine Pluto. So the Uranus and Pluto in that configuration are in a harmonious aspect, which I call bid for freedom. And it will be in this aspect for the next 6 years. It's an important one. These are two, Uranus and Pluto are two great change makers. Uranus is revolutionary, future-oriented, and very socially conscious. Pluto is transformational in nature and soul-guided. And they will bring lasting changes to the social order, new conditions, and greater freedom. Now, because that's in harmony in the background over a 6-year period, it's an easy flow aspect. So again, there's I think I would call that an earned kind of energy is there, because trines are very harmonious kind of character to them. So the second aspect is Chiron and Eris conjunct in Aries, the sign of Aries. Chiron is the wounded healer. He deepens consciousness through painful and difficult circumstances. And Eris is the regenerative goddess who uses chaos or disorder in the pursuit of your soul's true intentions. Both are in the sign of Aries now, and Aries is direct, asserting. It's about new beginnings, and it's about seeking the best version of yourself. The North Node transit is also in the sign of Aries. And in the North Node in Evolutionary Astrology represents the traits that need embodiment for your best soul's growth. So that transiting North Node is pointing to what we're all in a position collectively of needing to bring new beginnings in with Aries and more assertion in terms of our leadership potential and using our gifts to share with society. Is literally that's a healing that is present, because so many of us have been, certainly many of us as individuals have not, so many people have to sort of deal with society and put veils on in order to function. So this North Node transit is bringing new beginnings. Throughout the summer, both configurations are activated at different times by the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And those are the personal planets. They're the fast moving planets. And that's why they'll come along and they'll, at different times over the summer, trigger one arm or the other of one piece of these configurations. Now I did notice, I did have a little peek, Jennifer, in your chart. I hope you don't mind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So transiting North Node happens to be, it's going through your 12th house, and which is a house of endings. And it's virtually exactly squaring your birth sun right now. And your birth sun is in the 9th house, and it's conjunct the midheaven. So it's at the high point of the chart. So all those things will come into play. So when a planet squares nodes, there's a karmic crossroads or a turning point of some kind coming that you need to make a choice on. Now, the sun is about our identity. The sun in your chart, of course, in anybody's chart, the sun represents your identity and your ego nature, where you're shining, shall we say, where you can shine the most. And since it's at this sort of turning point, crossroads position between the nodes, there's likely to be things from the past. South Node is about the past energies that are coming forward that maybe need new realigning. It involves, because the South Node is actually in your work 6th house, and so it might involve work or health is another area. And these are areas, okay, the node squaring is the sun. Karmic crossroads may involve your boundaries, having to set boundaries, having to realign your goals. Certainly a time to review your goals and see if there's things from the past that things the way they are now are not quite aligned. This is the time to be doing it. And also where your authority lies in terms of what it is that you present and how that fits for others. And those are just a few points that I could talk about with you. So it's a kind of a crunchy moment. And it's more review of defining who you are and where you want to be going, because of course we want to be going in our north, in the direction that the transiting north node is showing. And since it's in your 12th house, that 12th house it's certainly a spiritual house. It's about your own very internal kind of energy. And it also can be where limitations show up, because we tend to put what hasn't as yet been dealt with completely in the 12th house. So and you have a lot of strong 12th house in your chart. So it's also where you're guided to share too. So there's a blend of both, shall we say, on the probably happening there, where there's need to review and some gaps may show up. And then what it is, a good time to define where it is, where you want to take things from next in your life. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's so interesting to know about this and how like astrology can really support and give insight into what areas of our life to focus on, and give an understanding of what's happening. On some level you kind of know what's going on, or you're feeling certain ways and picking up on certain vibes. But then when you have more context with it, like you do through evolutionary astrology, then it really starts to make more sense. It's like it just gives a deeper understanding. And I have to say, like what you were saying is pretty accurate, and I can see how that's relevant to what's happening in my life right now.
Yeah.
And I think this is a real opportunity, like for myself and what you shared about my chart, but then also what you shared earlier for the collective, in that it sounds like it's an opportunity for a fresh start, and a chance to really step into a fuller expression of who we truly are, and to be able to share our gifts, like you were saying earlier, and have that soulful alignment and create consciously our path forward, in our future direction. Where do we want to go? How do we want to be? And what areas of our life are being called attention to, like you just shared about in my chart. So thank you for that. That's really helpful.
You're welcome. Yes. Okay, so now I'd like to go into the some of the actual astrology for the July and August. And right on July 2nd, right away, we have Neptune turning retrograde. Now, I think most of people are familiar with Mercury going retrograde. It happens several times a year, and it's about slowing down and reviewing and reorganizing, and any gaps that are maybe not visible in your plans will surface during a retrograde. Every planet goes retrograde except the sun and the moon. All the other planets go retrograde at some point or another. Neptune will be retrograde from July 2nd to December 7th. So for basically the rest of the year.
Wow.
Neptune rules faith, any faith-based issues, spirituality of all kinds, compassion, inspiration, creativity, and very inspired. It's tapped into it's connected to the collective unconscious. So very good for meditation and that kind of thing. It's a very Neptune 12th house kind of energy. Neptune is a more emotionally and intuitively based energy. Rather than my example, Mercury is all about communication. Well, Neptune is going to be working with the more intuitive, internal, emotional kinds of energies. It is in touch with your unconscious self, and any unresolved feelings will come to the resurface to review and for integration during the retrograde Neptune. It's good for contemplating, which increases insight and guidance. And it can also, of course, be very inspirational, creative inspiration. And creativity comes in all packages. It doesn't have to be the arts specifically. We're all creative beings, of course. So Neptune retrograde just has a bigger door open to these kinds of things, and for a time to refine those more delicate fibers of our beings. Retrograde Neptune, is actually at 2955 Pisces. Now there's 30 degrees in a sign, so this is 29 degrees, 55 minutes. That's a very important kind of placement. First of all, Neptune rules the sign of Pisces, so that it strengthens, very comfortable in Pisces, and it would have sort of a harmonious and more heightened relationship with the sign as it's moving through it. And the last degree of Pisces, but it's also the last degree of the zodiac as we do things in the West here in Western astrology, because the 0 point Aries, which is the spring equinox, is at the 0 point Aries, so it's very close to that transition, which is a much bigger thing. It's a critical juncture and a turning point. And during that, so the last degree of any sign when a planet's going through has that quality, but most certainly when it's a long distance, one of those distant planets that Neptune is, I think, a total of up to 15 years in this sign. So it's a very slow kind of shuffly dance it's made through there, and it's coming to its peak kind of place. And what happens in that last degree of zodiac is it exposes the shadow side of the sign. And that's when you need to face and integrate the inner shadows that in order to prevent repeating cycles, because if it hasn't really been worked through, then there's this repeat thing that will eventually, whatever it is that you've been learning or experiencing, it's been through the sign, will not be complete, so it will have to be completed at another time. So Neptune shadow traits are things like, so when these things they're flags, shall we say, confusion, a lack of clarity, any evasive tendencies, any addictive behaviors, unrealistic thinking and beliefs, illusions. This is very Neptunian, negative Neptune energy. So if you are aware of those kind of veils and surrounding your direction, that's a good time to tap into it more. Now, the actual chart, the day that it goes retrograde, which will keep a vibration going through, through the entire retrograde Mercury point, has, of course, that Chiron and Eris conjunction. It is present, and it is in stressful aspects to Mercury, Venus, and Pluto. So at times, if you find you have pent-up emotions, they're liable to come through in a very verbally charged way, triggered easily is maybe another way of looking at that. Intellectual conflicts, control issues, are other kinds of things that can be triggered by this. But it's always here. Sometimes, transits are harder than others, and it always depends the most how it fits in with your personal chart. But you can still follow this in terms of what the general sweep is out there, and it will impact everybody in some context.
Is that what's happening now with like the polarization that we're seeing and experiencing in the world?
It's an example of yeah, definitely that's part of it. Yeah, like a lot of injustice. To just touch briefly on the Israeli conflict, Palestine-Israeli conflict that popped up since October. It's more than popped up. It's been very disturbing situation for everybody, and of course globally, it's really pushing the envelope in terms of how where the justice line is in all of this. And that's that's part of the releasing that's required, but that's a collective understanding. And of course, individually, and we all probably have our opinions, but yeah. So it's
like you said about the international conflict and the beliefs and all of that, faith issues and all of that we're seeing play out on the world stage, aren't we?
Absolutely, yeah. And then on July 5th, we have the Cancer new moon. And the Cancer new moon will be exactly at 14.5 degrees Cancer, which is exact in alignment with the brightest star in the night sky, which is Sirius. And Cancer is about emotions, the subconscious mind, home, family, and heritage. So those are sort of themes that are probably going to come to the surface more during the Cancer, month. Sirius is considered our spiritual sun, and it connects with the higher consciousness. It facilitates evolution. And of course, when you're aligning with transits, then that just magnifies things. So I think it's quite a significant kind of Cancer new moon happening on July 5th. Venus is also in conjunction with this new moon, and Venus herself is currently restructuring her energies. Venus rules Libra, the sign of Libra, and remember that a few minutes ago I was talking about Lilith is transiting through the sign of Lilith. Sort of Libra, and seeking truth in a balanced kind of just, the scales of justice are part of what going through the south node and Libra going Libra too close. Those two words are too close. Lilith and Libra. Yes, it's a tongue twister for me. Now the south node is there, wherever this transiting south node is releasing. It's time to release what no longer serves you. So like the transiting north node, which is going through Aries, is the area that we're bringing new beginnings in. And then the south node is in the sign of Libra, which is time to release. And so release what is imbalanced or is no longer serving you. And just the example a minute ago about where collectively we feel is fair play and justice is there's a collective thing that's coming more on the plate, but individually as well. Releasing Uranus, south node going through Libra is releasing things. And negative Libra is some examples of what negative Libra energy is. A tendency, Libra, when she's imbalanced, is people pleasing at the expense of her own, true thoughts. Codependence, not feeling independent enough and sort of always being stuck in a sort of unhealthy relationship with someone else. Not standing up for yourself is part of that, and avoiding unpleasantness. So Libra is trying to keep things harmonious and balanced all the time, and sometimes she does that at her own expense. So just flagging that, asking questions about where that might be in your own life is definitely time to consider negative tendencies. It's usually people and that kind of thing that is working with Libra. Now the actual, did that make sense? I know I stumbled quite a bit. Did that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does make sense. And what I'm thinking of too is like how you mentioned release. I like that word better than like when we say letting go. There's like this trigger, this contraction happens when we think of having to let go of something. When we talk about release, it just brings up a feeling of relief, that we can unburden and just, relax into a new way of being, or a new habit that's more life supportive, or a new practice, or a new way of thinking and being. And so I really like that word actually that used as release instead of letting go.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So the actual Cancer moon chart, the new moon chart, has the sun, the moon, and Venus. Venus is, remember, is conjunct the sun and moon, is all in a nice, easy flow trine aspect to Saturn. So this is a stabilizing influence. Saturn just kind of just steadying things, and is good for building. So it's a slow and steady pace that works best when Saturn's involved like this. And just on another note, if you need help in any of that building and stabilizing that you might be doing during the month, that Cancer month, certainly people in any authority figures or mature people that can be good guidance tools, asking questions of people that fit, that are maybe older, wiser, or have some sort of authority in whatever the topic and the situation might be, your parents, or who knows, whatever it could be, all sorts of potentials there. So that's just a little extra there that you could tap into. Now, the sun, moon, and Venus are in difficult relationship to that Chiron and Eris conjunction I was talking about, and also to Pluto. So it's a good thing we have the stabilizing energy of Saturn in this chart, because this combination with Chiron, Eris, and Pluto squaring the sun, moon, and Venus is very emotionally intense. And it will be very much about the proper use of your willpower and for standing up for yourself if and when you need to. At the same time, that can go either way, not understanding where you are. Boundaries is maybe what I'm kind of implying there, but also how you come across to other people. And Venus, of course, is concerned about injustice and imbalances. So finally, another supportive part of this chart is that Uranus and Jupiter are in a conjunction. And so they offer new approaches and new ways of doing things. So I would have to say that astrologically, timing helps in terms of aligning with something, and then that's proper and astrological timing, and then connecting with your deep soul desires and the right timing of something, and it amplifies things. And so in this case, the new moon is in Cancer. New moon is a classic time if you have intentions that you want to set for the month or moving forward. A new moon is the classic time for setting intentions. And this particular new moon Cancer is also completely aligned with Sirius. So again, I think quite a strong time to do that kind of work for people that like to do that. Then on July 17th, we have the front end shadow of Mercury retrograde coming. Yes, it's going to come in August. I'll talk about that more in a minute. And then July 21st, we now have the full moon in Cancer, Cancer Capricorn full moon. And so at that time, around full moons, your successes and failures become more apparent. And you can, with time to refashion over the next couple of weeks, how you might want to be doing something if it didn't quite hit the right notes in the full moon. It's also a good time to just take note of your perspective since the new moon, particularly for people that are setting intention. And then the full moon is a peak time where you can certainly see what's coming forward from that, and then have an opportunity to refashion still. If it's not, wherever it's not 100%. Pluto is also in a difficult relationship with the sun, moon, and Chiron and Eris. They all together form something called a closed aspect called a T-square. So, and if negative, or I shouldn't say negative, stressful or challenging is the best word, challenging aspects to Pluto intensify and increase the energies. And power will always be a central theme around Pluto, because Pluto is a very powerful force. Pluto represents the death and rebirth cycle in life. So it's creates the creation and the destruction. The Shiva is it of the Indian deities, I believe. Contemplation. Okay, so a couple of contemplation questions I have for you at this time is, how effective do you feel your strength and authority is in your life? And how about your ability to assert yourself? So two things to maybe think about.
Two very good questions and contemplations. Yeah, that's really something to consider.
Yeah. So communications could be unsettling at times. It is a good time to get in touch with your deepest emotions, because Pluto is always soulfully connected to the deepest desires in your psyche. So, a great time to touch into your deepest emotions, even if it is maybe, every challenge that comes to us is really a gift from the universe, if we can approach it in that light. because, to show us where we might need to make some changes. And at the full moon, the Mars-Uranus conjunction is still in effect. And so that continues to offer the opportunities for different approaches to any impasses you may have or different ideas for going forward. So that's an exciting, I think July has an exciting movement that way, Jen.
Yeah, it's a really pivotal time, isn't it? And it's coincidentally, synchronistically, halfway through the year. So you really get to evaluate, the year up to this point and then be able to pivot if you're not feeling like you're on the trajectory that you're meant to be on for the rest of the year, and how to like finish off the year really strong.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So now let's look into August. August 4th has the Leo new moon. And Leo is about loving energy. It's very pleasure oriented. It's very creative and self-expressive. And so that's our August vibration that's prominent. Great time, of course, for having traveling or just having good times out in the lovely nature settings. This new moon offers strong and confident movement forward. We'll have Mercury stationary, ready to go retrograde rather the next day. So this creates a highly focused energy that is not thrown off course easily, because the Mercury is virtually not moving at that point. So it's very concentrated energy. There's also many heart expansion opportunities, and that's become Mars and Jupiter are in conjunction, and they are easy flow aspects to the sun, moon, and the moon's nodes. Venus is trining Chiron, so deepening emotional perspectives make it easier to love yourself and others. So because it's a trine and it's Chiron, and Chiron he is the wounded healer, but when one has embraced what it's teaching you, and it's in a trine energy, so it's easier to get to what it's seeking to teach you. It is offering the opportunity for a deeper emotional perspective, and which in turn is making it easier to love yourself, which is number one, loving yourself. And then, of course, the next step is loving others more fully, is an important piece there. So that's the new moon. And then August 5th, we have Mercury retrograde. So that's just a day later. It goes retrograde at 4 degrees Virgo. And as I said before, retrogrades are delays, or delay things, they slow things down. They are meant for review and research and reorganizing. And anything that is not working in your plans becomes more apparent, or that's the bottom line why the delays are happening. It's either yourself or other systems out beyond you that need this reorganizing before you can move forward. Because Mercury it's the communication planet, but it's also about movement and in your daily life and travel and learning. It's the mind, anything to do around those topics. Mercury retrograde, and everybody likes the Mercury retrograde, don't we, Jen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the chart is similar to the new moon chart, of course, because it's only a day later, but it does now, the moon itself does a square or stressful aspect called the square to Uranus, Mercury retrograde, and to Venus. So that there's a charge there because the moon is going to definitely impact a little more. So this retrograde is a great time to draw in supports from the transpersonal planets, Chiron and Eris, because both of those configurations will be present in the retrograde, of course, so they will continue to operate in that vibrational way. The challenges will be being directed towards attitudes and feelings to people who matter to you. And it is best utilized to allow subtle upgrades buried deep inside of you to come to the surface and support your life more effectively. And it's an excellent time to stand up for your beliefs. And then one other aspect that's in that chart that's I would like to talk about is the Saturn square Jupiter. This is exact in this chart, so anything that's exact is going to have a stronger vibration than maybe something that has, is not quite as exact. And this is a trend that's starting now, and it's going to last for the next year. And so Saturn and Jupiter have a push-pull kind of tension between them. Jupiter instills strong, confident, expansive kinds of energy, and Saturn, on the other hand, likes to slow things down. It's very thorough. Jupiter tends to not be very thorough because Jupiter is more concerned about the big picture and the beliefs that go behind the actions. Saturn challenges hastiness, overconfidence, or overextending plans. And balanced is the key to receiving the benefits of this square. So a push, pull, tug back and forth that can come in terms of opportunity, because Jupiter brings opportunity and Saturn anchors things in reality. So if there's a square like that, that means there's more refinement needed between what our ideas and our plans or something, and it needs more grounding and more slower review and balance and working step at a time. Chiron and Eris conjunction is now in the supportive alliance with the full moon, Mercury, Mars, and Jupiter. So Chiron and Eris conjunction is when it's in a supportive alliance, easy flow aspects, it just makes it easier to deal with the energies. And this combination is making a more conscious approach to challenges much easier because of the easy flow qualities with Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Eris and Chiron.
So if you have changes to make, that would be the time to do it. Is that right? So you'd have an easier time going through it.
Yeah. Yes. So that's it. I'm gonna summarize a little bit first, Jen. Guidance from the distance planets and Lilith is in the Kite configuration is important closed aspect that's in the background all summer. And the goal is to have more trust and connection with your true intention. So it's not only building the potential for building a stronger connection with your true intent. First of all, finding for sure what your true intentions are, connecting with them so that you can utilizing them, and then trusting, because trust is an important piece of it. Uranus will use unusual or potentially unsettling circumstances. And the purpose for this is to release old energies that are no longer needed. And it facilitates new circumstances and draws out hidden talents. Neptune is seeking inner harmony and offering greater refinement and a greater faith in yourself. And Pluto is deepening psychological awareness and offers greater soul connection. Lilith is a relentless truth seeker who does in fact have your back, and she will collapse any situation that is not in your highest light if she's part of the configuration, which she is. And so she'll bring to the forward, because it's opposing Neptune, any confusions or illusions or avoidance tendencies we might have in terms of moving forward. Lilith is going to just bring that forward. She's not going to let you sit on it. Chiron and Eros. Chiron has a healing perspective through painful experiences, and Eros deepens the connection with our truest intentions. So these configurations, let me reinforce, they are subtle, but they are important guidance tools assisting you for the next evolutionary stage in development. And they are available now. So tap into it, please.
Tap into it. Yes, absolutely. And after all that, sounds like it'd be really beneficial to do that. A lot of transformation and change and, shifting our attitudes and perspectives on how we're living life and how we're viewing life in the world right now. And opportunities to step into a fuller expression of who we truly are, and have those soul alignments and decide on our future, really noticing, recognizing that we have the power to do that.
Yeah.
And especially with all of these planetary supports in play, there's a real opportunity here to set us on the right path, for any course correction, and be able to really embody who we came here to be so that we can do what we came here to do.
Yes. Yeah. I agree with that. I like your term, course correction.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, because we often need that, because coping in the everyday world has its own set of challenges, and it's easy to lose track or to, conceal or misdirect what our deepest intentions are. I think not all of us always necessarily know what they are, and that's part of what evolutionary approach goes right for the what your soul intention is, and then how it fits in your personality and relating to how you've taken free will and making your choices. We all have free will, and then what to do moving forward. And it's always coming from your soul's viewpoint, your soul's intentions, and that's why I find it so exciting. And again, there's a lot out there, and there will be more out there. The next video that I'm hoping I will pull together some of the other things that are out there that are supporting us, because there is a lot lately, and there will continue to be things that are guiding. And so that, the universe is trying to reach us all the time. And I think it's getting, I think I've got the bias that I think it's getting easier for people, but perhaps maybe that's, I don't know, you tell me.
Yeah. I think people are becoming more and more clear what their preferences are, like what they like and don't like, what sits well with them and not, and really starting to build up our own personal authority
Yes,
about things, because we've lost trust in other authorities and, fake news and whatever else it might
yeah,
be,
yeah.
always looking externally rather than internally and what's going on
Yes.
inside, what our beliefs and attitudes and desires are, what our soul needs, and being able to honor that and create those alignments. And even just like you say, releasing anything that's not serving us so that we can just feel what's inside of us emerge through us,
Yeah,
Yeah.
opening up, allowing it to happen, trusting, trusting that again, the universe is a friendly place, actually.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Having that world view, is the universal view. It's a friendly place,
Yes, yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
supportive place. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
And
for
that's why
sure.
we do these. So, yeah, for those who missed the June specific astrological report, you can watch the next video. We'll tie that into this one. Looks like a kind of intense summer, but a very transformative one that's ahead of us, and one that we can really power up to experience. So, thank you so much for everything that you shared, Gwyneth.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. And thank you for letting me have this opportunity to share with everybody. So, and lovely to chat with you. And I think you and I harmonize very well in our worldviews.
Yes, likewise. And we'd love to hear any comments. So put those down below this video. You'll also find in the video description ways to contact Gwyneth, check out her website, the other work that she does. Phenomenal work that can really support you individually as well. So we'll have that information down there. And I invite you to subscribe if you haven't already, because every week we have a phenomenal transformational expert to support us in our evolutionary growth and soulful well-being. So make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we do hope to see you again. Bye for now.